We've got Jason Ames here, who is the lead singer of the group H2O, who are a group of superbly skilled musicians who perform the music of Daryl Hall and John Oates. How are you doing today?
Very well, very well. Nice to be here with you.
Yeah, you've got the group H2O who perform the music of Hall and Oates. Was this something you set up yourself, or were you called upon it to be a part of it?
Well, it was a dear old friend and producer that I worked with many years ago, and he called me up out of the blue and said he's asked me for some other projects, but he said,
Yeah.
"What do you think about Hall and Oates?" And I thought, yeah, because the vocal range is the same. I come from a more of a rock and a rock blues background, and strictly blues also. But so I thought, well, the range of Daryl is the same, but so I thought, sure, why not? So I said yes, and then moved down to
Yeah.
Florida from Seattle.
There's quite a lot of you in the band. Is it just because of the amount of instruments that are needed that there's a number? Because it's performing the music originally done by a duo, so is that just you need loads of people to perform live?
Yeah, and they had quite a few people all along, even since the '70s, because they have Daryl plays keyboards, but he also had a keyboard player, and then you have the sax player. So you have your basic band, but over time they added another guitar player besides John. So I think that sometimes they have 8 people on their live tours.
Whoa. You are planning a tour in early 2021, right?
Correct, correct. Yes, we have a first little warm-up show, I guess you will, because everything's been shut down.
Yeah.
On Halloween, so at a casino down here in Florida, and
Ooh.
it's a half capacity, but it's a start for everybody to get back into the world.
Are you hopeful in January that things will be kind of more normal, or do you think it'll be kind of similar to how they are now?
I'm ultra optimistic, so I think people are starting to go out and be entertained, and uh,
Yeah.
everyone's ready to do that for sure. And it's a little more laid back in Florida, probably because the weather's warmer, and everyone's still honoring and being polite to other people about space, and being careful. But I think everyone's just ready to get out again. So by the new year, I think I think they'll just be going regardless.
And even if it has to be distance and masks and stuff, then I suppose it'd still be allowed to go ahead, I suppose.
Yeah, that's my understanding at this show too. It's at half capacity, so
Yeah.
it's a dinner theater as well, or a lot of times it's just a theater seating, but they've done it dinner theater style now just for that. And I believe if you're not eating or drinking, you have to have the mask on. But so
Yeah.
it's kind of open, but still on the safe side.
Before you got into this Hall and Oates band, what were you getting up to? How did you get into music?
Oh, I've done it my whole life. I just thought, that's what I want to do. Just looking at the posters on my wall of my heroes, and I was born in Denver, Colorado, and I moved up to Seattle in about 1986, and I was still a teenager and had no idea the grunge scene in Seattle would blow up so hugely. But I was playing around with all those guys in little cover bands. Some of the guys were a couple of years older than me, so they were cool to look up to. But it's funny looking back now that I tell people, yeah, I used to play little gigs with all those guys and little local gigs, and
Yeah.
like, oh, that must have been cool. Well, at the time, no, because we were just all a bunch of kids trying to figure it out. But so I went up there and did that, and I did a blues band up there. I moved to Italy and did some dance music and had a #1 hit over there about 2000, and I was there from 2000 to 2008. And then I have been on tour with a friend of mine, lead singer of Queensryche. I've gone out with Queensryche, not as a lead singer, but because Jeff, the singer, would call me, he'd say, dude, can you come out and just be on the road with us to do background vocals? So my styles have even doing backgrounds to Jeff is not my style because I'm more of a bluesy person, but it helps you train and try new things and get familiar with other
Yeah.
genres. And that's the thing with Daryl. When I was telling you before, I said, "Oh yes, the range is very similar to mine, so that shouldn't be a problem." Well, Daryl comes from this musical genre, I guess that they call it back then, Philly soul. It's not quite Motown. It's just something crazy, and he's probably the most difficult singer I've ever tried to get the vibe from, because I like to get the vibe from
Yeah.
different singers, not copy them, but I like to get the vibe and what their intent was, what they're listening to. And he's a flawless singer. He's perfect pitch. So it was tough. I think
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Got pretty dang close. So
Do you take a lot of Hall and Oates' performance style, or do you kind of make it your own when you're doing concerts?
well, we're not pulling off of the studio albums because we actually fell in love of a time period of their live shows, because it's my understanding and what we've read about them is, you know, back in the 80s, of course, the record companies had a lot of control on what your record sounded like. And
Yeah.
I think John and Daryl actually wanted to do it their way. So there's a live period that I really enjoyed from about 1991 to 2005, that roughly, where they're just cutting loose. And we've taken a lot of those because it's not so much of the top 40 poppy, you know, bubblegum style that they were probably forced to in production
Yeah.
on the records. And they've done it feels so good, and it's big, still the same songs, and the hooks are still there, but it has this different intention behind it. It's beautiful.
And the other members of the band, do they have a similar background to you?
It's kind of mixed. Some of them have done things with touring musicians, and them. Well, most of them are from Southern Florida, so a lot of the Latin-based bands. I don't know if one of them had been out with Julio Iglesias. We've like that, and so professional things, but just as hired guns,
Yeah.
basically.
Do you write your own songs as well on the side?
Yes, I do. Yes, I've had a couple different bands, and still have one that's rather active. And most of those guys are still in Seattle. So we try to get things going, and completely different than Hall and Oates.
Yeah, but it's good to have all those different styles. And you were talking about blues. Do you think that the sound of Hall and Oates ultimately is inspired by stuff that's inspired by blues?
I think so, because the root of R&B and funk and Motown is the blues, and the blues was the basis for everything, rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I think it was R&B and funk, and Motown was just a take on the blues. Someone thinking that they could improve it. Hey, what if we add this to that sort of progression? And there's just so much soul in that side, and that's what I was attracted to. I mean, years and years ago when I jumped in the blues scene, I'm a huge Zeppelin fan, and then I said, well, I've been just banging my head with rock and roll for so long. And I knew what Robert Plant had listened to, but then I went out, collected all those recordings, and I thought, this is really cool. Just because technically they weren't superior than a lot of musicians, but it was 100% feel, and that's what I was attracted to, and that's a lot and Daryl Hall is all feel.
Have you ever gone to see Hall and Oates perform live, or is it only kind of videos you've seen of it?
No, but it's been, I have seen them. It's been way back, way back a long time. Nothing recent. But,
And if you had to pick one favourite of their songs, what would it be?
Honestly, because I love the melody, and as a singer, it's my preferred one to sing, so that's what I'll have to call my favorite, which is "Say It Isn't So." especially the live acoustic version that we are doing, that they did, I think in '91. So we're pulling off our rendition of that version, and it's just has so much feel, and the melody is just so flowing. So probably that one.
And is that one of the best to perform as well, not just from kind of your vocal matching point of view, but just the enjoyment of it?
Then probably the one that gets me moving and as a full package one would probably be a Method of Modern Love is probably one of my favorites too, because it just moves around and it has some cool energy musically too. So, yeah. So let's mark those two down. So many good ones, but there's a different feel for me of what hits you on stage. The acoustic one, Say It Isn't So, is for the vocal part, and it's a chilled out version, and then Method of Modern Love is great for when the whole band's playing live.
Yeah. How long have you guys been doing this? Is this a recent thing?
Pretty recent. The idea came about probably about a year ago.
Okay.
And then Davis, the producer, is kind of organizing it because it's an idea he had, and then JB, the drummer, and myself. So it was the three of us, producer and a singer and a drummer, and then we had some guys, and we kind of worked with them and felt, no, that's not the right feel. Good players, but just not the right feel.
Yeah.
So this probably 6 months with this current lineup, and after weeding out what we thought wasn't the right feel for the project, and so I think we've nailed it. So about 6 months old.
Okay.
For this version.
So you didn't know most of the band before?
No, I wasn't. Some of the other guys were, because I had relocated from Seattle shortly before the whole thing started, just for that purpose. Like I said, because I've known Davis, the producer, with the FM Generation for 25 plus years. Has been calling for the past decade, saying, "You gotta come down here." I said, "Yeah, I will." So no, I didn't know anybody personally because I came down with JB, the drummer. He knew a couple of them, and then a couple were new to us all.
To get onto the stage when you do a gig, is there anything that you guys do to get yourself pumped?
I personally just like to do stretching and just get in the vibe, loosen up the body, and then we've created some nice the walk-on music that we took a version of Maneater and did kind of a really dark alternative version of it. That's the walk-on music. It's just kind of heavy and moody, and then it kicks into how Hall and Oates would do it. So it's kind of a fun thing to an audience might think, well, what exactly is going on? Because you can hear it's Hall and Oates lyrics and melody, but it's cool. But yeah, we just usually, get loose, get your head in the game, and off we go.
Do the audience seem to have a good time when you're there?
Well, like I said, this one, the first show as this group is on Halloween, so in 11 days. But we have done little snippets of recording of our stage built in the rehearsal studio with the light shows. So for rehearsals, and there's been a lot of great feedback on Instagram and the website. Even John Oates has tapped into our Instagram and followed and has given us the thumbs up, and
wow,
that makes us really happy. He says, "That's a really good version, guys. It's sounding good." Okay, I guess we're doing all right. So we'll see. We'll see about the excitement. I'm sure it will, because Hall and Oates, the music's just energetic and uplifting, and we're putting some energy into it.
Yeah. Were you planning to do a little bit more, but the pandemic has sort of halted that? Have you had to delay everything you were planning to do?
Yeah, actually, because we have pre-bookings that have all been kind of rolled back to different dates. It was all pre-booked based on our demo material, so it's looking good. And yeah, this thing threw it off. and it's thrown it off for a lot of touring musicians everywhere. But
Yeah.
so again, the dates have been moved, and hopefully we can all stick to it. With the everything will resolve and should be okay. That's what we're hoping for.
And you mentioned about how you've recorded little videos. Where are we able to watch them online?
Well, our rehearsal studio.
Yeah.
So Instagram, H2 at H2O _live. You can find it there, and I think it's on our website at h2o.band. I'm pretty sure it's on there.
And on social media, where are we able to keep up with any exciting plans you've got for the future?
Wow, you're kind of asking the wrong guy because I'm a non-social media guy.
Oh yeah.
I believe there is an H2O Facebook, and like I said, the Instagram is the one I know of. That my wife hasn't sent any notifications to her phone, so she can tell me what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's, like I said, Instagram at H2O _live. The Facebook, I don't know. I've never been on Facebook.
I think just look for H2O Hall and Oates. Just Google it and you'll find the band somewhere probably. After this Halloween show and the tour at the start of next year, have you got anything exciting planned, or is it all top secret?
No, we're just got some. It's going to move into theater gigs at that point, so we're going to be pretty busy moving outside of Florida because that's our home stomping ground. So then we're going to do the tour of the southern states, and these are the plans. And we'd like to come overseas. That'd be wonderful. As soon as things open up, I guess they're talking about some Japanese stuff and Asian stuff. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
So. Not too many big secrets, just planning to just get out there and play and give our respect to all the material that they've written.
Okay, well, what we'll do as we say goodbye to you, we'll play Say It Isn't So, as that is your favourite, and we'll say thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. We'll come up with you sometime over there then.
Yeah, hopefully, when things get back to normal.
Yes. Okay.